So I thought I'd talk about this opening night between the Warriors and the Lakers. There's kind of a lot to go off of here. I think a lot of our preconceived notions on these two teams kind of played out exactly how we'd have would have expected. I'm going to start with the Lakers because I think that there's a lot more to talk about as far as the Lakers go. The final score, by the way, was 109-123, and the Warriors won. The starting five of the Lakers was Patrick Beverley, Russell Westbrook, Lonnie Walker, LeBron, and Anthony Davis playing center this time. And that starting five shot 5 of 24 from the three-point line, which is really terrible, to say the least. The whole team as a unit shot 10 of 40 from the three-point line. And I think nights where the Lakers shoot the three well, they're going to be really, really good. The thing is that these guys like Lonnie Walker, Patrick Beverley, Austin Reeves, Juan Toscano, some of these guys, they're all like maybe shooters where like they're going to be at the end of the year maybe like 33%, but when you need them to kind of hit a big shot, like you don't trust them to do so in this type of system that they've gotten, like based off their skill set. I think the biggest takeaways is that like Anthony Davis is Anthony Davis. Like Anthony Davis did exactly what we would have expected out of Anthony Davis. He could bully anybody on the court. He was really active defensively, like reaching out and passing lanes, blocking shots, contesting shots, being smart on that end. Offensively, they ran a lot of horns where LeBron and Anthony Davis would start on the elbows, and whoever didn't get the ball was setting a screen, and then it usually ended up being LeBron catching the ball on the elbow and running this like triangle on the opposite side where Anthony Davis was kind of flashing to the rim. And with Anthony Davis having any sort of momentum to the rim, like he was pretty unstoppable. There was times actually where James Wiseman looked really good defensively against him. It's just Anthony Davis is just so much stronger than anybody else on the court, like even Kevon Looney and Draymond. I don't know. I'd buy a lot of Anthony Davis stock right now. I think that like he's poised to have a great season. It's just health is always the issue. He looked like the best player on the court for the majority of the time that he was out there, and I think that's a good sign for the Lakers. As far as LeBron goes, I think like early on I was feeling like, wow, LeBron's looking old, but I think LeBron has just changed his game drastically over the last few years. He isn't really taking those like straight line drives off pick and rolls from the top of the three anymore. Maybe that was just this game, but it seemed like if he was on a wing and he had a guy on his hip, he was for sure taking that straight line drive. But a lot of the time at the top of the three-point line, he was maybe taking a couple dribbles in and taking a jump shot. He wasn't just full steam ahead like used to be, which was where he found the most success. I think that's smart because he really doesn't need to do that yet. And if he was to like get injured from doing that sort of thing, then that would be terrible for him and the Lakers as a whole. And I think that LeBron is still LeBron, and in like fast break situations, he still has as much bounce as he really ever needed, and he's going to finish or dish it to the correct guy. And when he was in the post, he was making like ridiculous cross court over three guys passes to open, I won't call them shooters, but open guys on the perimeter to take a shot. So like I think those two guys alone are going to carry this Lakers team to being decent. It's just the issue is the other guys. And I think in my preview, I mentioned Russell Westbrook as like this huge detriment. And I kind of want to redact that a little bit. I think Russ played quite a bit smarter last night. I mean, he had some turnovers that were like, dude, come on. Like, what are you doing? Like, I had seen someone mention how Russ in the corners was catching it and stepping out of bounds like quite a bit during the preseason, and he did it again last night. And then there was one play where he drove to the rim on a fast break and just absolutely cooked, I think, Andrew Wiggins. And as Andrew Wiggins was trying to pass the ball in, like, Russell Westbrook just slapped it out of his hands. It's like, dude, you can't be doing that, because it just makes your whole team look bad. And of course, like, I believe that there was a technical on that play as well. But I think Russ brings a good amount to this team. And the question I think that the Lakers need to ask themselves is what Russell bringing to the team worth more than maybe a couple of, like, role players? Because I think that Russell would be valuable to this team had they gotten better shooters in the offseason. But without those shooters around him and LeBron and Anthony Davis, it's like now you've got kind of 5 guys out there that are like question marks as far as shooting the three. And it just makes Russ's game look even worse. But, I mean, he's still Russ. He still just blows by people on that first step. And I think when he was in OKC, I was like the first guy to say, like, Steven Adams deserved like half of the rebounds that Russell Westbrook was getting. But there was times last night where Russ was actually like out jumping most of the centers and grabbing rebounds, which I think that's pretty valuable to your team as well. And especially just the pace that he can play on offense. It does drive me nuts when people say that he is the like pinnacle of like hustle and heart and all this, because on defense he falls asleep constantly. Offense, he can be, if he doesn't have the ball, he can just be kind of standing there watching. But as of right now, I think that Russ is fine for this team. I don't think he's a negative. I don't think he's a massive positive. But if they had more shooters, I think he would be great. It just would role players that can shoot be better than him. Then as far as the other guys on this team, Lonnie Walker looked okay creating. He didn't really hit any jump shots. Patrick Beverley, again, same kind of thing. He didn't really hit any jumpers. He played great defense, of course. Like Pat Bev is always going to give you that, and he's got to be able to hit threes to be more valuable for the team. And then like the bench guys, really none of them looked any good. Juan T didn't hit a single jump shot. He got a couple rebounds and didn't really do anything else for the team. Kendrick Nunn actually was hitting threes pretty well, and they looked pure. Defensively, he was pretty terrible. So they've got to ask themselves, like, is he valuable to start just for the offense? I would say maybe as of right now. I'd want to see a couple more games before I'd make that decision. And the same thing goes for Matt Ryan, which I thought it was a little messed up. They said multiple times on the broadcast, like, oh, he only made the team because he can shoot. And it's like, wouldn't you think that if you were that guy, you would want like them to say anything positive about the rest of your game? But regardless, I mean, he only hit 1 3 out of 3 that he took. But, I mean, he's trying really hard to be Duncan Robinson, and if he can be even part of what Duncan Robinson is, then he can be good for the team. But I think that's all I've got to say, really, about the Lakers. I mean, their defense looked amazing. It's just the Warriors did Warriors things where they're cutting off the ball so hard that the Lakers couldn't really guard them all that much. And I guess as far as, like, the shooters go, like, since they didn't have really any shooters on the team or out on the court at any given time, the Warriors played a lot of almost zone concepts, even though they were manned up, where like they'd be on the opposite wing and everyone would be kind of flushed over to that strong side, and it didn't matter because there's no fear of a jump shot. So anyways, we'll get on to the Warriors. Stephen Curry looks like he is just improving every single year. It's hard to say when he's a 2-time MVP, but I mean, he just keeps adding wrinkles to his game and creativity, and is getting better at defense. And I mean, there's not a lot more to say about him. Klay Thompson, I mean, they only gave him 19 minutes because they're gonna slowly roll him out there each game, but he looked all right. It's just Klay, I think when he's on a minute restriction, he's going to shoot it every single time he catches it. And a lot of the times, those shots are pretty terrible, to say the least. But what can you say? I mean, the Warriors are going to win a lot of games, so I don't think Klay taking a couple bad shots is really going to hurt them too much. Andrew Wiggins is that guy. Them extending him was such a big move. He was hitting so many tough shots, playing crazy defense the whole night, creating pretty well as well. Um, he's just great for this team. There's not a lot more to say. Draymond, quadruple single. He did his quadruple single. He got 4 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 1 turnover. His defense looked good. He's always there in help side. He got bullied by Anthony Davis, though, which in years past didn't really happen as often, but AD definitely was the bigger man tonight, or last night. And then Kevon's just solid. There's not a lot to say about him. I mean, he moves his feet so well on defense that, like, he was containing LeBron at one point out on the perimeter, which I thought was really impressive. He actually had more struggles with Anthony Davis than he did when he was switched on to LeBron, which I think is interesting. But anyways, Jordan Poole kind of went on fire for a little bit, but then kind of was throwing up a bunch of bricks. But Jordan Poole's passing looked incredible. There was a sequence where the Warriors were really clicking, and actually Draymond came up and set a ball screen for him right at the top of the 3. And since the Warriors' spacing is so incredible, with Draymond rolling to the rim, Jordan Poole was able to take like one dribble over to his right and just whip it with like an underhand bounce pass to Draymond. And it was just great. It looked beautiful. James Wiseman played and got a good 16 minutes. I think he's a little awkward as far as finishing goes. Like, he tries to dunk some of these putback like rebounds, and they just don't really go in. And I'm not too sure if I would say that he needs to try to one-hand dunk these, or he needs to get just like stronger hands. But something is not quite right there as far as maybe it's his coordination or something there. But his free throws looked pretty bad. He missed all 4 of them, and they were pretty inconsistent looking form as well. But he rebounded the ball well. He played pretty good defense on Anthony Davis, for the most part. And he switched on to LeBron at one point and looked pretty good there as well. JaMychal Green, new addition, looked really good, could shoot the ball really well, was rebounding, played pretty solid defense. I mean, you can't really ask anything else out of a guy that you brought in off season as a vet. Kuminga didn't look so hot. I mean, he's just going to have these nights. He's still pretty raw as a prospect. He didn't score. Rebounded only 3 boards and got a block, actually. His defense was okay. He's active as can be on defense. It's just, I think he over gambles on certain like steals or blocks or that sort of thing where he'll leave his feet and then he's just completely beat. But I think we'll see some good games out of him. And then DiVincenzo got a good run for 21 and a half minutes. He looked great. I mean, he turned it over 4 times, but I think the writing is on the wall that Dante fits the system so well. And I think being a Villanova guy, I mean, he was bred into playing this team-friendly ball where it's like, let's play good defense, let's pass, and let's shoot the ball. And I think he does all those things really well. And then Moses Moody got only 7 minutes. And it was funny, before the game, they were talking to Steve Kerr about rotations and how he wasn't sure if Moses Moody was like going to crack the rotation. But I think Moses should probably get minutes over Kuminga at certain times, because Moses just a lot more solid as far as defense goes, as far as running the court, being in the right spot and shooting. Moody's jump shot looks like he's been in the league for like 5 or 6 years. Like, it looks pretty immaculate. He did only hit 1 of 3 threes, and then he got like this nasty jam over, I think, Anthony Davis, that where he just like caught it underneath there and just powered up and put it in with one hand. He looked incredible. I mean, the Warriors as a whole looked pretty good. I mean, it was a sloppy game to start with. There's a lot of turnovers. Lakers turned it over 21 times. The Warriors turned it over 18 times. Honestly, I thought the Warriors looked sloppier with the ball at times. But, I mean, that's kind of Warriors ball where they're just passing and cutting. there's definitely some miscommunications as far as guys thinking that they were going to stay in the corner and throwing it out there, but they're actually trying to cut. But that's just going to happen, especially with integrating some of these new guys. But I think both of these teams have a lot to go off of just with this one game. I mean, the Lakers know where their weaknesses are. It's shooting. I mean, that's clear as day for anybody. And so working on that, like if they work on that and can be better at that, I think that they're a stronger team than we might have thought to start with. It's just a matter of health, of course. And the Warriors, like their defense was pretty good for the most part. I mean, Posty was not quite as great, but when you've got Anthony Davis is one of the best scoring big men that we've seen in a long time going in there, I mean, that's bound to happen. And other than that, I mean, just integrating some of these new guys and making sure that people are ready to play. Like when some of these bench guys are getting in, they just got to be ready to go and be ready to be moving without the ball and buy in. And yeah, that's all I've got. But make sure you like and subscribe. And I think I've got another good video idea after watching this one. So stay tuned for that, and I'll see you then. Bye.